Football fans, Gooners, guess who is back? I am your host, Shotta, and as always, my one and only, the Oracle of Blackburn, Blackburn George. We're back after an enforced break over the last weekend. Welcome back, my friend.
Thank you. Welcome back yourself.
I have to apologize to the audience. I didn't make a public show of it, but I had a death in my family, had me traveling, and then I picked up a virus, which still recovering. George, you can hear I'm nasal, but I was good. Good enough, well enough to see us tackle Wolves away yesterday. And it may not have been a dominant performance, but it's consistent. George, can you believe it? 5 points ahead of Manchester City. I told you a couple of games ago. I could hear the hoofbeats beating, but it's now fading in the background. Am I chortling too early?
Well, maybe a bit too early. We've got to play them twice. That's 6 points. If they won those two games, they'd be in front of us. So let's not celebrate too quickly.
But you do see that table, George. Can you imagine that? Yeah. Liverpool all 15 points behind us.
Yeah, everything's falling our way. Everybody else is faltering, and we are not. Yes. And that's all you can do. Stick at it. And I've said this a few times. We've deserved to win every game that we've won. Maybe with the possible exception of Leeds.
Right.
But you can balance that out with the performance against United. I think we deserve something out of that game, although we lost 3-1. So 14 games, and we basically deserve to win them all. That's probably more than you can say for Manchester City. And not to blow my own trumpet, but which I will. Just the last time we were on this podcast, I said we had a good chance because of the way teams would set up against Manchester City to frustrate them and hopefully win on the break. They were sort of conceding that they couldn't play football against them, and it would make life difficult for them. And so it proved to be. I mean, I watched the City game yesterday, and people were saying, "Oh, the best team." Well, no, they didn't. City battered them basically.
Yes.
But when you've got everybody defending your box and the players to make a difference on the transition, on the break, you have a chance. You have a chance against anybody. That's how we used to lose many games when we dominated. Let's not pretend it's a new phenomenon. People did that against us, and now they're doing it against Manchester City. They don't do it to the same extent against us. They allow us to play. And it makes a difference. It does make a difference.
Sure it does. I mean,
especially when you might be a bit complacent like Manchester City, when they're so dominant, when they're so much better than everybody else, and they expect to go over and just go out and roll teams over. You only have to be 1 or 2% off with it because of your complacency, and things can go wrong. I mean, they went wrong this weekend. They could have gone wrong the weekend before. Kevin De Bruyne had to score a out of this world free kick to scrape home in that. They got a last-ditch penalty. It probably wasn't a penalty. Again, that Kevin De Bruyne bought against Fulham to get all 3 points the week before. So they could basically have dropped points in all of the last 3 games. Whereas we've not looked like dropping the points.
Then I come back to that
first half yesterday. We weren't very good.
Yeah.
But I think in the second half, we did more than enough to justify winning quite comfortably.
I'm going to come back to the game, but let's just to say something about that City game. I don't know so much of complacency, George, but Brentford is just opportunistic and they scored first. City came back in the game and you thought they would just put the pressure on. And then in the death, George, again a breakaway with City looking for the winning goal. And you're so right. It used to happen to us, and our lot used to say, "Oh, it's our naivety," and so on and so forth.
Of course it is. They're pushing to win. I mean, I said that City dominated in everything: possession, territorially, shots on target, shots off target, corners, passing. And somebody said, no, they didn't. We've got one here that shots on target 6-5 in favour of Brentford.
Yes.
And I thought, oh, that's odd. And then I realised that 4 of those 6 shots on target were in the last 3 minutes.
Oh, really?
When City had everybody in
camped
in their half and they were breaking away and getting shots on target. So it sort of skewed the stats a little bit, but City absolutely dominated that game. They're going to win that game nine times out of 10 with the domination. But as you say, that's what used to happen to us.
Right.
And Arsene Wenger used to get blamed, saying it was naive.
Yes.
You know? And you think, surely you're not saying Pep Guardiola's naive. You know, these top teams push to win games at the death. Manchester United did it for 20 years under Alex Ferguson. They pushed and pushed and pushed. And it happened to them as well. I mean, they lost the league once doing it, didn't they? They not push that hard, and West Ham broke away and scored a goal, and they end up losing the game.
What was it? City came through?
No, no, was it Liverpool? I can't remember.
No, it can't be Liverpool. Liverpool never won on the.
No, was it Liverpool? Yeah. I can't remember who it was.
It could have been City. Remember when West Ham, what you may call it, was there who ended up at City? Yeah.
That's it. That's the game.
Yes, that's the game. Tevez scored.
Pushing, and they broke away and scored.
Yes.
It's happened to other teams. It's happened to all other managers. And let's hope it keeps happening to Manchester City, because they are the best team. I don't think there's any question about that.
Yes.
But if teams keep setting up like that against them and somehow getting a result, it favours us. And it favoured us yesterday, and it's great. Good. You know.
Well, George, I kind of think we're not here on a City. This is not a City podcast. This is an Arsenal podcast, and we have most of our fans most of our listeners are gooners, in my opinion. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't have a way of discerning, but just for your benefit, fans, viewers, listeners, you know, we dominated all the stats. Obviously, but George, that's one of the reasons why overall stats do not tell the story, because we didn't look that dominant in the first half. And you know, you commented on it, but once we took a long while to adjust after Xhaka had to be subbed.
Yeah, it made a difference. It made a huge difference. I think it made. I mean, you can't say that. I mean, you could turn around and say, well, we might have lost if Xhaka had stayed on. Who knows?
Right.
You can fantasize anything, but the look to the eye, it looks like when he's not playing, we're nowhere near as dominant in midfield, and we don't progress the ball as quickly as when he does play.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, I was saying, I tweeted at halftime, put Tierney on, move Zinchenko into the middle of the field, and take Vieira off. And just at that, Vieira pops up in the penalty box and made me look a right twat by doing a bit of skill that Granit Xhaka probably couldn't have done. And we scored. So, you know,
put the goalie down on his
oh, yeah, it was a clever play.
Yeah.
Composed, wait a ball, everything, and Odegaard got a tap in,
Finished it. Yeah.
And it was a wonderful piece of play. It was a wonderful piece of play from Jesus as well.
Yes.
And all the pre-assist people will be creaming up about that. You know, that it was a pre-assist for him, and basically, it was the ball that opened up the game. I've always said this, that it doesn't matter whether it's the assist, the pre-assist, the pre-pre-assist, the pre-pre-pre-pre-assist. It's the ball that opens up the game and puts
Wolves.
the goal in danger.
Yeah.
That's the important ball. And it could be any ball. It could be like from the middle of the park, a through ball or whatever that's then passed between two or three players up front. It's that line-breaking, shape-breaking ball. And that was from Jesus yesterday. So he turned the game, Jesus, although it was Vieira who got the assist in the end.
Yes. George, the thing that struck me though, I know that, and the commentators talk about it, that we've been to the Wolves, whatever the name of their stadium, just that eludes me, 12 times and we have won 10. But do you remember last year when they broke the record? They came to our place and beat us. And I said I would ask you this question, and now the audience must ask, should be curious. What is it so different about this year's team than last year's team? Because whenever we fell behind last year, we lost confidence. We didn't play our game. And teams like Wolves and some other teams that never ever beat us finally did. What happened this year?
Well, there's a few things. The introduction of Saliba, Zinchenko, and Jesus clearly has made a big difference.
Mm-hmm.
I think the repetitive nature of the training, because you can see patterns of play
Yes.
over and over and over again,
Mm-hmm.
which, to be honest, I couldn't see them 12 months ago. But they must have been there. They must have been developing those patterns of play.
Mm-hmm.
And he stuck with it. And the team now has got into the groove of playing in the way that he wants them to play. More so. Obviously, moving Xhaka forwards made a difference. Thomas Partey coming to the party has made a difference, because for all people say he's decent now, and sometimes he's good, and sometimes he's even very good.
Yes.
The first 2 years he was piss poor, and he's not now. That's made a big difference.
Yes.
Him, Xhaka, Odegaard, he's now established. He's the captain. He plays with confidence. He controls the game more. So the whole midfield has taken a big step forward. And the two young lads, Saka
And Martinelli.
But Martinelli
Yes.
has again come on in leaps and bounds. And then you've got Jesus, who's made a huge difference as a focal point. And
he's not scored. He's not scored, George, but he is keeping those central defenders very busy, and he's very dangerous.
Yeah, and sometimes the central midfield very busy as well. Because
yes,
I mean, sometimes I have to be honest. Sometimes I'm screaming at him, "Get in the fucking box!" I mean, he's turning up in the left back and right back positions. He turns up all far too deep for me. But what do I fucking know? You know, it's working, and it's not difficult. It's impossible to point the finger at Arteta at the moment and say you're not doing it right.
No, absolutely.
We've gone past that point.
Well, we're past that point. I mean, I think this podcast has passed the point of, well, we never got into Arteta out, but we're past that point. We have started saying he's doing a good job a long time ago, and we make no apologies for that. And you in particular, George.
Yeah.
But going back to little teams having all that, I call them little teams, quote unquote. We're having so much joy against us. And an example is Adama Traore. I didn't even know he was still playing for Wolves. I thought they had sold him. What he did.
They went into Barcelona last year, didn't they?
Something, yes. So I know he was away.
He was on loan last the second half of last season.
And I thought they kept him. But compare that with the year, yeah, the first part of last year when he came up to the Emirates and touched us. Well, like yesterday, he was he was not as effective. But of course, I thought him playing more centrally two up front didn't do justice to him because he's better outside, running from outside in. But we were able to contain him, for example. Both Gabriel and Saliba had him on, relatively under control.
Yeah, Saliba made a couple of horrendous mistakes.
Yes, I remember that. That back pass that almost got a goal, yeah?
That back pass should have led to a goal.
Yes.
It should have done.
By the way, George, he's capable of a brain fart every game. Don't you notice? He's capable of a brain fart every game.
Well, yeah, he's only a young kid.
Yes.
This is it's the old problem that we can see is good.
Yes.
Can see he's very good. I've said before, I think he's the best young defender at his age I've ever seen.
Yes.
But he still makes mistakes. But most of our fans aren't willing to accept that he makes any mistakes.
Yes.
He's better than Van Dijk was at Van Dijk's best, or John Terry.
Yes.
He's not.
Yes.
He might be, but he's not.
Yes.
But our fans won't accept that.
Yes.
They just won't. And he made some two terrible. I mean, he gave away a penalty yesterday, and how it wasn't given, I do not know. I mean, it was as much of a penalty as I've ever seen.
I missed that one, George. I looked at the game twice. I missed that one. When was that?
It was early on before we scored.
Oh, okay. Or I missed that. I mean, I saw the sorry guys, but I missed that one. I didn't know that was so obvious. And I'm gonna take your word for it, George.
Well, I know this makes me laugh as well. Every pundit and every analyst on every channel said it was a penalty.
Yeah. And
that it should have been given. And all our fans can say is, well, they're always against Arsenal.
Yes,
For fuck's sake. In this case, it's because it was a fucking penalty.
Yes.
But they're also saying it could have been a red card. But that's not true. There's no point describing it to you. But Saliba tried to play the ball and didn't get it. But because he tried to play the ball, the double jeopardy comes in, and it's not.
Right.
It's not a red card.
I'm sorry, listeners. I'm sorry. I rewatched that half, and I missed that. I gotta check my glasses, George. The second goal too, George, was a delight. And Martinelli backheel, Zinchenko crossing, Martinelli. I think it was Martinelli or somebody got a shot off. Came back and Odegaard just steered it straight to the goal. And again, it was down that left side.
I'll tell you something. That's a much underrated goal from Odegaard.
Yeah.
Because he killed the ball and shot instantly. Normally when they do it that quickly, they snatch at it. But he didn't. Because he only had a fraction of a second.
Right.
Or he would have been closed down.
Yeah.
It was real top stuff from Odegaard. And he's our top scorer now, by the way.
Yes, and
I keep reading that he doesn't contribute enough in goals and assists.
That was about the point I was about to make. You guys, in football we can get carried away, and this is not a podcast that tries not to get carried away. And that's perhaps why we're not doing it too for sensationalism. At least I'm not doing it, George, and I know you're not. But the same fans, and I'm singing with you. I'm with there. I hear you in the stands, singing away. But just if there's a 2-game slump, it's a completely different ball game, and we have to know that we Arsenal fans are very emotional and go from pillar to post very quickly.
All football fans do.
All football fans. Well, Well, I used to think we are different, George.
Yeah, we're not. We're not.
And then I realized we are just like the rest.
We are because we blame referees and VAR for most of our woes. So do every other football team. So
Yes.
do every other club.
Yes.
We blame the managers when things don't go right. So does everybody else.
Yes.
We scapegoat players. So do other clubs.
Yes.
We're exactly the same. We just like to think we're different.
That's exactly the point. We are the greatest club in the world and the greatest fans ever. um, I want to say one thing though, George, before we wrap up our little review of that game, or the goals and so on. There's something in Wolves, George. I don't know why they're down at the bottom. They can't score goals. That's exactly the point. But there's something in them. And I was like, they look like a young little skittish young horse or those animals that can't really get their footing right. But there's something about them. They had this Totti and this other guy, those big tall defenders. They were good on the ball. Even the guy from, I think he's from Northern Ireland, this tall white guy. they look like a team with potential, but they might very well go down.
Yeah, they look better than the league positions. I mean, you would fancy them are a lot better than teams like Nottingham Forest, wouldn't you?
Yes, but they're young and they're all.
Well, they're no strikers, like I say. I mean, even Diego Costa was out through being red carded.
Yes. What about the Mexican dude? Jimenez, he's gone?
Injured. He's injured, and he's never really been right since David Luiz cracked his skull.
Yeah. And of course, as somebody gets good, they sell them off. Yeah.
And he's injured again, isn't he? Is it not? What's his name? Neto, is it?
Neto, yeah.
No, he's injured again. So
I think this is
a hard time, but let's not feel sorry for them.
Yes. So George, you did say this before. Maybe I should say this, but what is our immediate threat? What's the immediate threat and danger, or is there none whatsoever to Arsenal as we?
Well,
there's a 6-week break and we could lose all our momentum. That sounds obvious, but
yeah, I don't worry about that because we're in exactly the same boat as everybody else.
Mm-hmm.
I think the dangers are the same as people have been saying. That the drop off between our first choice 11 and those coming in to replace them is substantial. I mean, they're not bad players. We haven't got a bad player. There isn't a bad player in the squad. No. Let's people talk about these players should never play for Arsenal again. Should never be seen it. It's nonsense. There isn't a bad player in the squad, but the drop off is quite dramatic in some positions. In Xhaka, it's absolutely. I mean, God forbid what would happen if he got any sort of long-term injury.
Some people discount that, George, saying that Partey can carry the load.
Well, of course they would, but they can say what they want, and Jesus as well.
Yes.
And Odegaard. I mean, these keep and Saka and Martinelli. There just isn't anybody can come in and replace them for game after game after game. I mean, you can take one of them off with 10 minutes to go and get away with it, but you can't be without them for 3 or 4 or 5 games, which will inevitably happen. It will. You can't. I think we had everybody fit yesterday, didn't we?
Well, apart from the tummy bug, I mean, I don't know how many people had it.
So that we're not going to be in that position all season.
Yeah,
we're not. Not given how many games we've had, and we've still got a fully fit squad.
Is they going to tighten up, George? When we resume on Boxing Day?
Well, I don't know. You'd imagine that Chelsea's got to start playing better.
Oh, they have been a disappointment.
They've been shocking recently. But he's a top-class manager, and they've got top-class players. So you'd imagine they're going to get better. United seem to be getting better. Spurs somehow keep winning miraculously.
They're bragging about it being the top team come from losing positions.
Yeah, very good. Good for them.
Yeah.
Are they bragging about being behind out more often than everybody else? Dickheads.
George, you're missing one team.
Liverpool.
They are like a train that's gathering momentum. The confidence is up. I'm not saying that they are as good as us.
Yeah, we've only got to play them once, though, haven't we?
Yes.
I don't really care. They can all get better for all they want. We only have to play as long as they don't do it against us. And we've got
yes.
We've got some of them. We've got most of them out the way. Apart from Manchester City, we've still to play them twice.
Can you imagine Almiron scoring so many goals, George?
No, that's not going to last, is it? That's not.
No.
I mean, Joe Willock, did he not score 7 and 7?
Yes. Yesterday he scored. He scored.
And now he scored the first one since those 7 and 7 2 seasons ago. You know,
I think he's gone about 2 or 3 Premier League goals. He's been scoring not a lot like that 7-goal streak, but I think it's more. There was a game a couple of matches ago. I know I think he scored a winner. Guys, correct me in the chat if you get a chance.
Anyway, the point is that Almiron's not going to keep up that.
No, he's not.
He's not. He's simply not.
That's streaky. He's a streaky player.
Yeah. He's much improved, but
yes.
nobody keeps up that sort of level of scoring.
Yeah, for football turns up these surprises.
Unless it's Haaland, he might.
Yeah. Okay, George. Finally, our little not this.
No.
So this is my usual from Who Scored. I told you why I like Who Scored. I can reproduce the graphic. They have a nice graphic. So obviously Odegaard 8.6. Vieira got a 7.0, which is what I wondered about. Xhaka got a 6.2. Okay, well, he was not at his best.
Well, he's only out for 5 minutes, wasn't he?
Yeah. What are your thoughts about this rating? I mean, Who Scored?
No, I don't get that. I don't get how Saka has more than Martinelli yesterday, because I thought Saka was quite.
You know what I noticed, George? I went and looked at the detailed stats and who scored. Saka didn't get a shot off, but he had more touches and he had more dribbles to Martinelli. But I thought Martinelli was a menace whenever he was on the ball.
In the second half, he was. I thought he was quite poor in the first half. I think both of them were quite poor in the first half.
Yeah.
But nobody was good in the first half.
Yes.
But looking back on it, I mean, I'm not entirely sure we were as bad as I thought we were in the first half, and or whether it was just laying the foundation, being solid and making sure we didn't make any mistakes, playing conservatively, and wearing them down.
And you have a point. Maybe the Tommy flu.
You want to see goals and you want to see chances created. You want to see intricate play, but it can't be like that all day, every day.
Yes.
And, as long as you get 2 or 3 moments in the game, which gives you 2 or 3 goals, I suppose that'll have to do for the time being.
And I mean, you have a point too, and maybe if we were having a Tommy flu, you would have been telling the guys, conserve your energy, because you're going to have to make that big push in the second half. That too. Yeah, I don't know how, well, I don't know if that anything else sticks out. I know the audience, but I find some of these ratings a little, they're driven by the flavor of the day. But Odegaard was definitely our number 1 player. White got a 7.1 together. And George, I gotta give Arteta credit and White credit. I never saw White as a fullback, and he's been very impressive, overlapping and linking with Saka, and he put in a few crosses, by the way.
Yeah, he won't score by this time in the next century, though.
but George, don't you notice? I think something that nobody mentions that we we tend to mix it up, you know. I mean, you have Odegaard flicking the ball here and flicking there, but we don't mind lofting those balls across goal. Have you noticed that?
Yeah, I think all round we're playing a good game,
Yeah,
solid game.
yeah,
It's as reflected. We're not top of the league, 5 points clear by accident. No
yeah.
matter what anybody says, that we're there because we deserve to be there. We've been the best team up to now, and the results show it. Uh, let's just hope that everybody else sets up to give Manchester City a hard time.
Well, George, I can't see any. Can't find any controversies, any further controversies in who scored. I think it was a pretty easy game to rate the players. George, so we have a long break. Um, Audience, we are going to try to get, the entire gang. I tried to get them today, but it was not possible. But many of us were pessimistic. Some of us views are moderated. I would like to hear what people think. Now that we're going to the World Cup. By the way, George, are you looking forward to the World Cup?
Not particularly, no.
It's the dullest build-up I've ever.
Yeah, something. It's a bad taste in my mouth about where it is and the hypocrisy and everybody turning a blind eye. And I don't want to get political, but it really annoys me when people justify oppression and phobias, whether it be against religion or homosexualities in other countries, because they say, oh, well, they're not as developed. We were like that 50 years ago or 100 years ago. And I just said, well, but it's not 50 or 100 years ago.
Yeah.
And we have we live in the modern era where if somebody says something, we know about it in 2 seconds' time, not in 2 decades like it used to be. It used to take so long for things to filter through to other cultures that you could understand how they developed more slowly. But they have the internet in fucking Qatar.
Yeah, well, that's very, very good internet.
They have the internet in Saudi Arabia and China, and there's no justification for saying, yeah, but it was like that 50 years ago. We live in a digital age where we know everything now. These people know now. And, women can't fucking drive. They can't vote. They can't fucking show their eyelashes. It's fucking not right. And I don't like that we have to swallow it because we used to be like, we used to beat our wives with sticks 100 years ago. So you should still be able to they should be able to beat their wives with sticks now because they're a bit behind us in the development. No, it's wrong. It was wrong. We shouldn't have been doing it 100 years ago, but we've stopped doing it now. And they know better and they should stop doing it now. So it's putting me off a little bit, I have to say.
Yeah, but, I think, too, George, there's a non-European World Cup and in a different time zone and all of that stuff. I think that also, because usually the World Cup is a summer event and you finish the season and there's a build-up.
Yeah, it's not the same. Everything's different and disturbing our season. We feel it's all right laughing. We feel resentful about it. Fucking what's this shit? We're challenging for the league, and these cunts are coming along with the World Cup. We don't like it. It's push off.
Yeah. Well, George, we're gonna have a chance to talk about that. I don't even know when the first game kicks off, but I usually used to have a schedule and start bracketing teams. I'm well past that, or I don't know. Anyway, George, we will have a chance, listeners. I'm going to try to get us together. You won't be totally rid of us, I hope. But thank you, George, for this review. And I'm enjoying being 5 points ahead of Manchester City. I never thought I'd see that day.
No, what about you, my
friend? Yes. Enjoy it, Gooners. And remember, for what it is worth, like and subscribe. Leave a comment. Let George and I know how bad or how well we are doing. George, your final word.
Yeah. See you after the debacle.
All right, George. Thanks a lot, my friend.
Bye.
Bye.